MayBEE, they're born with it. The developmental changes in pollen baskets throughout the lives of worker bees. My name is Leslie Walden, and I'm doing research on the pollen baskets of honeybees, specifically the worker bees. Throughout a worker bee's life, they are tasked with various jobs depending on their age. Housekeeping tends to be the first job a bee has. This task is maintaining and doing basic maintenance for the hive. The next job is undertaking, where the bees are in charge of clearing out all of the dead bees from the hive. So far, neither of these jobs require the worker bees to use their pollen baskets. I recognize that form is often closely related to function. Therefore, I hypothesize that the pollen basket is going to be most functionally developed early on during the final stage of a worker bee's life as a field bee. Pollen baskets are small structures found on the worker bee's hind legs. As the field bee walks around on a flower, she has millions of tiny hairs that get pollen trapped in. Before she flies away from the flower, she brushes and wipes herself off and tucks the pollen granules in her pollen basket for safekeeping until she gets back to the hive. Furthermore, it may be that pollen collecting bee transitions to nectar collection as its pollen baskets wear out. To test these hypotheses, I described the rear leg and pollen basket morphology of bees from a time-staged set of bees from hatching to death. As bees hatch from their pupal stage, I painted a dot on them to track a time-matched cohort of worker bees. Every few days, I take a painted bee to analyze the developmental morphology of its pollen baskets. I do this by removing and labeling the hind legs and imaging them using a scanning electron microscope. By comparing the development and wear of the pollen basket over a series of periods, I may be able to identify the mechanism that correlates bee tasks with their age. Throughout my preliminary research, I brought in worker bees at various different stages throughout its life. Over here, I've also brought in a drone bee. The drone bee is our control because it doesn't have pollen baskets, so its tibias are bare. This worker bee was brought in during her prime. You can tell that by her pollen baskets. Over here is what her contents were. However, during the pinning process, it fell out. Over here, this bee was fanning the hive, so she wasn't quite to the field collecting stage yet. This one was during the nectar collection because she was a very old field bee. By using a light microscope, we can determine the differences in the pollen baskets in a worker bee's life. However, using SEM results in more precise and accurate images.